A very good evening to you and welcome to our On the Sofa this evening. Got the privilege of having one of our favourite, most recent players, Mathieu Baudry, aka Frenchie, on with us tonight. So we're very pleased that he's been able to join us. I will bring Vic on because I'm sure he's got some SAS to say. Hello, Vic.
Very good evening to you, Chris. I do have some SAS information. Of course, tomorrow we go to Reading for the first time since, I think, 2006, 20 odd years ago. It's a long time ago. And it's the first time we're going. So there's a big following, even for an EFL trophy game. And if you're going on SAS travel, they leave tomorrow at 4:30 from the county ground. So 4:30. And they're not open in the evening tomorrow. But if you want to book for Salford in a couple of weeks' time, then please get in touch as soon as possible, as they need to know how many buses they need to book. So get in touch via the messages on their profile, and they'll be happy to hear from you regarding Salford, which, of course, is a week on Saturday. And if you've not recovered from the journey home on last Saturday, which was long and very trying, then, it was a very difficult journey. But luckily, nobody on the Barnsley team coach was injured in that horrific fire. I don't know if you've seen footage of it, but luckily nobody was injured. So that's the best news rather than the late getting home. That's one of those things, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. And we know how long it takes to clear a bus. So that must have been awful for them. So we're glad they're all okay. Just another point. We have got an event in November. November the 22nd is our 85-86 live event. So we've got a lot of the team that are coming down for that. We're still working on getting a few of them. There's a few we can't contact. So we're working with the players that we have got to see if they can get anybody else. So hopefully we should have most of the team for that event. And tickets are available now. So let's bring on Matthew. Good evening.
Good evening. Evening.
How are you? You okay?
Oh, yeah. All good. Right. Any comments? Please leave them in the comments on the page. I'm having difficult with my words today, and we'll get through as many as we can. Okay. I'll see you later.
Chris, thanks ever so much. And thank you ever so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. First and foremost, how is retirement?
Yeah, it's different. Takes some adjusting. There's some pros and cons, as we said when we spoke before that. So obviously it's a lot different. But at the same time, I've got quite a lot more freedom to do things I want to do and things like that with the family. So there's pros and cons, but I still follow football. I still go to games and stuff like that. So I get my fix that way.
How difficult is that transition, though? Because, you've got the training regime that you have to go through. You have to abstain from certain things, all that kind of stuff, didn't you? How difficult is that transition?
I think the exercise part of it, I think is tough for me because usually it's like all your days around it. Now with work, I've got to find, especially I'm still trying to rehab my knee, which is not, I still getting issues with it. So I'm just trying to find that time during the day with work and the kids to exercise and do my rehab. So it is tough. As I say, like we used to come to an environment with just the boys and having a laugh and things like that. And now I'm working from home, so it's completely different. So I miss that part of it. But the other side of it is at the weekend, I get to spend like time with the family, do different things that I've been doing for the last 15 years. So
sure.
Pros and cons.
You don't have long bus journeys and go off the night before, that kind of stuff, do you?
Yeah, I'm not missing that bit. Yeah, definitely.
So how is your knee? Because this was the main reason why you decided to retire, I think, wasn't it? As a friendly against Newport, if I remember rightly, behind a closed doors game. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not the best way to have your last game, but them things happen. My knee is not very good actually. So I'm experiencing some issues of trying to do the rehab and go start running because I still want to exercise and be fit person, and I've got a young kid, so I'm trying to get that right. but I'm still experiencing some problems. So I just need to get it sorted in the next few months.
Goodness, that's taken a while, hasn't it? And you had your problems with injuries throughout the course of your career, didn't you? How difficult is that to deal with? Because you're a footballer, you want to kick a ball about. That's what you do, isn't it? So, often we forget about the player that's going through the long-term rehab. It's they're kind of out of the public eye. How difficult is that to deal with?
I think if I say like it's probably one of the main reasons I'm retired now is injuries kind of like drain you in a way. For me, especially that you I just fought injuries all my career, so it took a lot of me like on and off the pitch to stay fit. When you get injuries to come back, it's a lot of hard work. So it makes me proud because I feel like every time I come back to a, a good level. That's why I managed probably to keep playing for that long. But at the same time, it just grinds you mentally, and everything you do in your life, you feel like it's affecting if you're gonna get injured or not. So it's kind of like grinding in a way. So I'm glad I don't have to that worry anymore. So I need to get my knee right and then just be able to enjoy that life.
Because the whole thing about being a footballer is you're sort of gearing towards the next Saturday or the next Tuesday, aren't you? And when you're out, you don't have that, do you?
No, you don't have that. So it's totally different. Unfortunately, I got to get used to with injuries, and I kind of like got into a routine where for a few days I kind of like when you're with a disappointment, I just trying to not think about football and just do whatever I wanted to do. And then after the work it takes to come back to fitness is you got to be committed 100%. So I always have like a mental like pause like for 2 days, depending on what sort of injury, 2-3 days, and then after just go back 100% and do focusing on that rehab because it takes all your energy and your focus.
Sure. Well, we won't draw too much on that because you've had enough of that, I guess. But
yeah,
Ali Willits, of course, you will know.
yeah.
Former lead physio at Swindon. He's very much looking forward to tonight. And she says you are the funniest person she's ever worked with. We said one of them before, but the funniest. So there we are.
Yes, yeah, that's all right.
So there's no pressure on proving that over the next hour, if that's okay.
No, I haven't got any jokes ready or nothing. But I think it's just trying to have a good time. I've always enjoyed the companies of everyone, players, staff, and things like that. Usually, you find for me, I spend a lot of time in the physio room, so usually it's always kind of like a nice little social environment where we can have a laugh and things like that. I've always been up for the banter. I always give as much as I get, so it's all good games.
Your relationship with the fans has always been good too, hasn't it? I think you've always gone out of your way to sort of get a relationship with supporters.
I think it's important that it's part of the job. So I remember when I was a young lad, I used to go to my own team, and I remember when we had some attention or some interaction with the first team players, it was always special, and memories we just kept for forever. So I just always kept that in mind when I became a professional. I just enjoy it, I think. And I always I felt like I thrived on it. Like I always enjoyed my football a lot more when I was in that environment of a family club. With like kind of like, what do you call it? Like a fan base that is like true fan base. So I've just enjoyed it. And I've been lucky to have that in numerous clubs that I've played for. So it's been enjoyable, that relationship.
Yeah, you mentioned your start. It was Larve, wasn't it? I hope I pronounced it wrongly. If I have if I've done it wrongly, I apologise. But that's where it all started for you, because I think your dad was a player there. Was that right?
Yeah, my dad was a player a long time ago, and then he went to coach locally. My brother went in the academy there as well, and then I followed him. So yeah, it's part of the whole thing. We used to go to games with me, my granddad, my dad, my brother, and then my cousins. So it's been something like, obviously it's different than when you play for them. But yeah, that's where it started really.
And give us an idea about French football. Obviously, we know about the French national team and how spectacular they've been in recent times. And what's league football like in France? Because you then went on to Troyes, I think is the right way of saying it. So how is French league football?
Well, I can only talk to you when I was playing there. So obviously, I've
Mm.
lost a bit of touch with French football since I've left. Um, but it's from English football, we don't really look at what's outside. And obviously, I've left France to come to England usually because of that support and the atmosphere in the stadium. But the football was not bad in France at all. Technically and tactically, always been very good. A lot of athlete. I think the intensity was a bit lower than over here, but maybe that I think that comes from the support and the atmosphere in the stadium that kind of push that tempo all the time, and just you get pushed by the fans here. And in France, it's lot more slow tempo, but technically, tactically, I think is very good. It's a bit underrated, and you've seen with Lens recently in the Champions League. I think there's some good team in France, and there's some good football. Maybe the atmosphere is not as good as here, definitely, but there's some good footballers.
Well, internationally, of course, they've been amazing, haven't they, over the last few years?
Yeah, I think it's and it comes from in football. In France, football is like a street game, so we've got a lot of talent coming from Paris and things like that, where people play football everywhere on the street and things like that. So we always tend to get some very good technical players. So yeah, and some good academies as well.
Yeah, true. Right. Well, a couple of messages coming in already. Sean says, "Hi, Frenchie. Still feel you had another season in you. I wish you and your family all the best for the future. And who was the toughest striker you faced in your career?" Well, we'll leave you to think about that, and we'll get back to you on that question later. I mean, you made that decision. Was that the right time to go to finish?
The way I feel now, I feel like it was the right time mainly because of the injuries. It's just, I say it took mentally a lot of me, and it's you're always worried to do the season too much. So I was probably people knew, and I was open with it. I was going to retire that summer where we went to the playoffs with Bengal, and then got convinced to do another season. I think for me it was time. I thought I was not as good as you were, and it's been quite a time. I think since my injuries at Doncaster, and I never felt I was the same player that I used to. So it's frustrated me at times. I couldn't do the things I used to be able to do. So I had to change the way I was playing a little bit, and probably Swindon, in a way, never really seen me do my best really. So it was frustrating for me, and I didn't really want to be that old guy that just hang in there just for the sake of it. I especially for my career, I always what was pushing me to give, and I felt like I was always giving 100, 110% in games and training, was to try and to aim to play at the higher levels. So just the idea to just hang in there, hang at that level, and just to stay in a game didn't really excite me that much. So I tried to give as much as I could. I tried to help the young lads as much as I could, but I think it was my time.
Yeah, so I guess it's knowing when to go, and a lot of sportsmen don't, do they? They kind of hang on and somehow aren't quite as good as they used to be, etc., etc. And people don't remember them as how good they were. So a very wise decision from your point of view, obviously. I mean, let's talk about that playoff season then, because you are one of the Melksham Five. Many people you must know what that means. You were one of the 5 who turned up at Melksham that night for the friendly. We all remember it. It was a beautiful night, and we were all thinking, what on earth is happening at Swindon Town Football Club? What did you know that night at Melksham?
Well, we didn't really know everything that was happening. What we knew is the boys that were here were really committed, and the professionalism that was here was great. I think we just kind of, when you're a bit left by yourself, you kind of got to step up your games a little bit. And I think everyone that was there with training with the young lads, and all the pros were just kind of stepped up a bit, even in training and things like that. We kind of manage ourselves, obviously, with a few of the staffs that were still here. But it kind of put the structure for what was coming after. So then the staff came in, and then brought players around that core of players. That was quite a good core, to be fair, in terms of quality as well and characters, and then just built from that. And yeah, it was enjoyable. When we talk about retirement, I think after that COVID season, there was a part of me that was thinking like I'm not enjoying it anymore, and I don't know. I them long injuries as well. We didn't help, and I was thinking like I don't know. And then starting on preseason and just from that time just enjoyed it. Enjoyed that season, like every moment of it, really.
Yeah, it's a fabulous season. We'll talk about the COVID season, I'm sure. Well, we will. But before that, of course, we had that magnificent championship season, albeit we were all stolen with that season under Richie Wellens. You, the players, of course, most of all, because you never had that glorious moment when you lifted the trophy, did you? I mean, some of the football that was played that season was magnificent, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was great. We had a bit of banter with the staff when I went back to Swindon. They were saying because they were at Newport at this time, and they said like they didn't think we were going to win the league. So with Mildy, we just have a nice little chat and saying like we definitely were going to win the league. I think we were by far the best team that year. So it was enjoyable. It was a frustrating, like you say, it was really frustrating to not being able to share the moment with them fans. The fans that I think I remember just we started having big games with like Exeter and things like that, was where the county ground was buzzing. So we just been kind of like robbed of a few more games like that, and then the celebration went not the same really. But it's still good memory.
I found out that you'd won the league when I was mowing my lawn. When did you find out that you'd won the league? It was a Friday afternoon, if I remember rightly. It was this weird. Oh, they won the league.
Yeah, COVID. I was in the garden. Yeah, probably the same. And then Hunt sent us a message, and he wanted like a Zoom call, and we thought there might be something happening. So then, we just find out then, and then just had a few drinks, and then that was it. That was a weird moment, really.
You mentioned the Exeter game. Have you ever experienced an atmosphere like that? I mean, it was a fun. You know, obviously Doyle and Yates had come back,
Yeah,
and and Grant was conducting the crowd. You know, it was a special day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. Like the atmosphere was buzzing. That's why, to be fair, in a way, like I feel like we got when we went to playoff the last few months of the season were a very good atmosphere as well. Really similar when we think about Forest Green at home, Walsall away. So I've been able to witness after how like the Swindon fan base can be, and it's been great.
So that season from the Ashes, becomes the season we didn't really expect, to be honest. And I always remember the opening day at Scunthorpe. You might see it was just such a shock because we didn't expect it to pick up like that. What were your thoughts after that Scunthorpe game?
Well, what season we're talking? We started both games.
This is the Ben Garner season.
Ben Garner season. Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? Like, but I feel like strangely we were quite confident because we had that core, that strong core, and we brought some good players in. We feel like we were kind of in a good place. But then it was strange because even days before the first game of season, we had like first few players coming in and never seen them play, and you're like, how it's gonna look tomorrow? I think we had Lewis Reed turning up on a Friday at the hotel. We had Ken Kessler coming during the week. So it was just a bit strange, but it was a good start. And then sometimes when there's challenges like that, and then it kind of like got you closer together. So it was a good start. Scunthorpe, it's a good way to start. Let's Scunthorpe away in the first game of season.
Yeah, 3-1 if I remember right. It was a fantastic victory.
We started that with Richie Wellens. We started.
You did, yeah. I mean, those seasons were similar, weren't they? In many ways, in terms of the ability to win matches. That was the secret, wasn't it? The ability to win those matches.
Yeah. I think we're like quite very two different teams. I think that we're doing it, but maybe the Ben Garner team, I think we took a bit longer maybe to get going. I felt Because with Richie, I think even from the start we didn't really pick the results, but we were we are dominating teams quite early on, and then it was Ben Garner, because obviously it took a bit longer, I felt, from memory, just because the team just got put together towards the end, and we still had people coming in after. But yeah, no, I think it's, I don't know. I feel, yeah, don't know, two very different teams.
Yeah, but two very successful teams.
Yeah.
Richard says, class act, both on and off the pitch, thoughtful, open and honest. Best wishes to you and your family. I mean, there were great times at Swindon Town, obviously, but then there are very bad times. And we all suffered greatly through that COVID season. I mean, let's get this into perspective. Many people suffered, far worse than football. So we should put that in perspective. In terms of a football season, no, and a football fan, it's not the same as sitting in front of your laptop on a Saturday afternoon. How was it for a footballer?
It was not really enjoyable. When we talk about in France, there was atmosphere and like the fans pushing you and things like that. I feel like I always needed, on a personal point of view, just kill everything of me. Like, I like football, but I like to play in front of people with good atmosphere. That's why I enjoyed, not just football. And playing them games, I didn't really enjoy it. I felt my concentration was affected. The preparation was not good as well, because we had to do things a lot different. Pre-season was affected. You didn't really bond that much with your teammate because you never really seen them. You couldn't really spend that much time with them like we used to. So it's just everything was so different. I just didn't enjoy it at all.
You had about 7 goalkeepers, I think, that season, didn't we? The French trying to get used to 7 goalkeepers, that must be quite a trial too.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's anything probably with a goalkeeper. I think I looked even at myself and I said I had a terrible season that year. When I look back, I think the not having fans, I think, affected me a lot more than I thought it would. Just because the way I am, I'm already kind of like, I need that adrenaline to stay focused and things like that. And I feel like in them stadium, I struggle big time with it. Fitness wise as well, I never really felt like good. I had loads of injuries from that. I think the last preseason game injury, and then that season just felt long. It felt like he just dragged on, and we had that change in managers as well.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, Richie Wellens goes.
Yeah.
Then John Sheridan comes in. I think you've been documented in saying it wasn't your favourite time at the club.
No.
I mean, how was it for you?
It's terrible. So I had that great relationship with Richie, and we didn't start great this season. But I spoke to him last time when I went to see them at Leighton Orient, and I still feel we will have stayed up if he stayed. I've got no doubt in my mind, just because the type of manager he is, and because the manager that came after as well, how bad he was. So even how bad we started the season, I still feel we didn't. If you looked at the end of season of where we finished, how far we finished from safety, I definitely think with Richie we got them extra points with the season, and he kind of like kept everything together with what was everything that happening around. When he was there as a player, we didn't really felt it, but then as soon as he left, it just kind of like went a bit everywhere. So it was it was a very frustrating season. One that I try to not remember as much, but it was frustrating because we worked so hard to just get. And for me, like, so I was at MK, got back promoted, went to Swindon, promoted, and I was thinking, I see I'm back in League One now. I was eager to do well there, and we lost a lot of them. The players that were here the season before, I felt a bit like Leighton Orient. They kept most of the team from last year, and I thought if we have done the same, we'd probably done a lot better. But then things happen. It's just it was a frustrating season. Yeah.
What was your relationship with John Sheridan?
Lack of there's nothing really. We didn't really speak. We barely seen him, to be fair. And I understand he had some circumstances that happened for him, but if that happens, just don't take the job if you can't do it properly. And then it's just the lack of respect for the players, the way he talked to us. I was already well in my 30s. I don't get mugged that way. Especially when you're not putting the work for us and you're not putting us in the best situation to do well on the pitch, then you can't just really talk to us like the way he was talking to us. So I didn't really stand for that. And yeah, I just told him. So we didn't really have a great relationship. And then I was injured. I was trying to play injured because I thought it was the best thing to do to help my team. But inside, it was not. I should have just not played because I was already injured. And then I had that long injury where with COVID, I was just away from everyone. So I didn't really see him, didn't really speak to him. So we had that big argument and that was it really.
It's often you talk to footballers about when a manager changes and, sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. But I'm guessing, we used to talk to Richie Wellens quite regularly on here and always seemed to me he got it somehow. Do you know what I mean by that? He got it. A bit like Mike Flynn does at the minute. He gets that feeling that the fans get. Is that fair to say about Richie Wellens? He somehow gets the football club.
Yeah, he does get it. He gets the fans. He gets the players. I think he understands the little wins that just makes you like want to play for him, wants to. So he understands the fans as well. So the fans want to root for his teams, and he's doing the same at Leyton Orient. And then they asked me before they took him. Some people asked me, say, "Yeah, say you love it," and fans just relate to him. He showed that he cares. He cares about the players. He cares about the fans, and that's all people care really. And then he put the players in a situation to win games, and they just appreciate that. So you can feel that when you got someone that just feels he's better than you, and he comes in, he don't care about the fans, don't care about the players really, because he used to have that career and he used to did that, and so you're just basically telling you a piece of shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't really, and then you don't put you can see he's not putting the work to put you in a situation to win, and you're losing, and then so it becomes a bit difficult. Yeah,
it was a horrible season, wasn't it? I mean, I think you came back after injury at MK, one of your former clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back on that, should you come back or just wait out the season?
It's easy to say. Like, I always done it in a way where I thought, and it's been my fault quite a few of time. Quite a lot of time in my career, I've got injured because managers asked me to play when I was not ready, and I've never said no. I haven't had that in me. I'm like, if you need me, I'm there. I had it against Gillingham that year where I didn't train all week. I think I put my hammies the weekend before, and then I didn't train, and then all the other centre half got injured. And then on Friday, I felt like I could maybe play, and I felt a little bit bad. I said to him, "If you want me to play, there's no centre half. Just I play." So I ended up playing, felt it again, and ended up not having a real good game. So it's just like in insight, like it's easy to say, yeah, I shouldn't have played, and it's the same for MK. I was out probably for, I don't even remember. I think it was for 16 weeks or something. So then the manager at the time just asked me to play, and I was like, yeah, I'm playing then. You know what I mean? So then in the end, you just come back against a team that was just very well drilled and make you run, and I haven't played for 16, 18 weeks. So it was tough, and I probably shouldn't have played, but it's easy to say after that. You're trying to help the team as much as you can, really.
Sure. This is from Malcolm. French, you were amazing for us. I'll always remember the final 5 games of that playoff season. You were like the Terminator. You were incredible. Thanks so much for your time with us. I mean, up behind me, I've got that much maligned black shirt. Now, you must remember Hartlepool United away on that really sunny Saturday. I think H. McCurdy got a couple, and then you popped up and got the third, didn't you? And with that celebration, which was McCurdy-like, if I remember rightly, that was a fabulous end to the season, wasn't it? You mentioned Walsall earlier on, which was basically the ground was full of Swindon fans, all that kind of thing. What were those matches leading up to the playoffs like?
It was unbelievable. It's just like you weren't kind of that in that bubbles, and it was great, and we had a good season. I feel like an old man with that team. We were very young, but I think they were great young lads. Just enjoy it. Even training, even I had a spell during the season where I didn't play much, and in my head, I thought it was my last season. I was just trying to enjoy every moment, every training session. Enjoyed working with them young lads, trying to help them, and it was great. And then towards the end, I ended up back playing, and as you do when you're enjoying yourself, you enjoy like your teammates and everything. Like you just play better. So that's what happened. And then we had that art to pull away. It came from like my little boy really. So that was the first season where he got to watch me play, and it was probably my last season. So I tried to get him to watch as many games as possible. And like a lot of like the young lads coming to the county ground, they just like H a lot. So he was making me do in the garden, when we used to play in the garden, the Harry McCurdy celebration. So when I scored, I just did it, and it was good fun. Like we had quite a laugh. So Warsaw was a great memory as well.
Yeah,
I remember coming in the warm up, and the stad was already full of Swindon fans, and it's just like you feel like you had like a big goosebumps, and you feel like And then we just started the game on fire, and it's just like great memories, and I'm glad. In my head, I was thinking it's my last season. I'm like, I'm enjoying that a lot. Same for the playoffs. And I'm doing another year. But it kind of like helped me, because even that injury I got at Newport, which is not the greatest way to retire, I'm looking back and I feel like in a way I've already had that goodbye and that, like, them last memories. So it was a good time.
Yeah, and you mentioned in the Forest Green earlier on, which was a fabulous night as well, wasn't it? I mean, that they were storming the league basically, and I think Ellis Iandolo got sent off, and it was a fabulous hanging on. There was injury time, which went on forever. It's one of those great backs against the wall, fabulous nights, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, like great team spirit. Everyone putting their body on the line at the end, and just that. So no, it was good.
What about the playoffs then? Port Vale, obviously, incredibly disappointing. What are your memories of those two games?
I just remember dominating the first leg. I think we had chances to go maybe 3-0 or 4-0 up, and then they scored like a rubbish goal at the end that kept them in the tie. And then I remember turning up to Port Vale and seeing the pitch. They didn't really cut it, and it was hot and it was dry. And I was thinking, I know what's coming here. And they just put the pressure early doors, and we struggled a bit to handle it, to get into the game. They scored, and then that was it. Then it became like a proper tie. And then we had them chances to win on penalties, which happened. I don't think I've ever won a penalty shootout in my career, so it's just one of them.
Of the aftermath on the pitch was pretty scary too, wasn't it? I mean, it was pretty scary in the stands. What was it like on the, with what was going on the pitch?
Yeah, it was scary because you see them coming, and I've had things like that where I think lost once at Huddersfield in the playoffs, and like fans coming on the pitch, but there was no aggression. There's nothing. They were just coming to celebrate. So you always felt a bit scared, but not as much as like this one, especially when I see they were targeting Harry. That was just next to me. So it got a bit too much. So that wasn't great and shouldn't happen really. But strangely, what some of the best memory I got was after Port Vale in the change rooms, because we got that close and all this that happened, and then sometime in the loss, I remember just watching all the squads and people crying and stuff like that, and it's quite like touching and just some memories that you keep.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's one of those teams that should have gone up, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you look back and certainly as a Swindon fan, you look back at teams that should have got promotion, and that was one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we missed maybe we had some patches during the season where we didn't do too great, and it just maybe cost us. I think I felt we were good enough if we had been more consistent during the season to get into automatic. And then definitely, I think with the playoff, I think we are the better team in the playoffs, but I think we just missed them chances that first leg, and then second leg we didn't really deal with the occasion as well. So it's frustrating.
Yeah, very. Lee Jackson says, "Thanks, Frenchie. Cracking player. Wish you and the family the best. Always welcome at the county ground. Feel sorry we went through the Sheridan era. What puts a smile on my face was the Dion Conroy goal against Oldham. Well done, mate. I mean, that's a memory, isn't it?"
Yeah, that was good. I was buzzing for Dion because he got quite a bit of grief from that from Sheridan. So I think it was nice for him, nice feeling for him and his family, and for everyone that was there. Really, didn't really want to lose from him against him. So for Dion to score was great. I had a little argument with him, which I feel I was looking for. So yeah, it was all good. It was a good day.
Highlight the Sheridan era when he made a sign to the fans behind the dugout. He showed exactly how he was. Dion's 96-minute winner was class. That's from Ian. I mean, I thought we all felt for Dion that moment because there was that bizarre day against Gillingham at home when 5 players were substituted. It was just what on earth is this? I mean, how do you deal with that as a squad? Because it just felt the football club's falling to pieces. I mean, is that how it felt?
Yeah, I think it's probably the worst time I feel like the club where I feel like I don't know where this is going. I'll be honest, I don't know where it's going. It feels like it was almost like sabotage. You know what I mean? I've been with managers that were not very good. This one is like, it's like people like we're doing it on purpose. Like, what have we got that guy? Is he doing on purpose here? Like, that's exactly how I felt, and we didn't know where the club was going, so it was a bit scary.
Anyway, moving on and being positive. I mean, things move on, don't they? And what do you think of Swindon at the minute? I mean, obviously you weren't around for last season.
Yeah.
What have you thought of them this year? Have you kept an eye on their progress?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I came in pre-season to the training ground, was training, talked to people, and I come back about a couple of weeks ago, and I tried to see like highlights and things like that. And yeah, I keep in touch. So, but I like it. I think they're very good going forward. There's a very good core of players. So I'm enjoying it. I think maybe they could do is maybe a few additions, just like depth, because it's a long season. But if they can manage to stay injury free, I think they got a good chance. Like they just got that firepower. Just going forward, they look very dynamic.
What makes a good team in your mind? What makes a team that's capable of going up? What is it?
I think something maybe we got wrong last year with the sporting director and stuff. I think you need to get the right balance of youth, talent, and experience, and characters. So I think it's just to find that right balance where I think last year I got frustrated at time where it's just I feel like the policy was just let's put some young lads together, do as well as possible, and then see how if we can sell them and do well and stuff like that. But it's not really happening like that. And I can say that now because I'm not the one. If I was playing and say, oh yeah, because he wants to be in, but I'm not playing. But I just feel like in the team it's important to have, you want, especially for a club like Swindon, you always done that. You want like some young players that are gonna develop and maybe sell them and do well like that. But you need that environment around them where they can see some proper professionals, the way they do it, and just like kind of like help them when things are not going so well. Like when we're talking like in a season, you're gonna have a dip in a season, but you need that people around you to tell you it's fine that all team happen, but we need to start working harder. We need to do this in training. We need to do that the way that you know what I mean. Some some environment around it. You can't just put kids together and expect them to just deal with everything that's gonna come their way the best. So I think it's just a balance of youth, experience, talent, and characters.
Because you look at Manchester City. I think they've lost 3 in a row, haven't they? So even they're having a dip. So it happens to the best of them, really.
Yeah, you do. I think it's just as I said before we talked, it's like how you react from it. You don't want them dips to last too long, but it's just how you react to it. Usually, you say like if you lose one, you're trying to not lose 2 in a row, just to bounce back. So the good team usually tend to do that. So you don't lose like 3, 4 in a row. Like you kind of react and bounce back. So it's just I think it's important that when you lose, it's neither you go next day and say like panic, everything we've been doing we forget, and we're just gonna change everything we've been doing. But at the same time, like if you lose sometime, or even when you win, it's good sometimes to say, you know what, we haven't. There's a reason we lost, or there's a reason we didn't really play well. It's because maybe we lost that. Maybe we need to refocus in training. Maybe we need to like refocus and do like go back to the basics and maybe put the work in training and stuff like that. So it's that all season really. It's just deal with it up and down.
Sure. Lee says, did you have any relationship with Jody Morris? What was your thoughts on his management style? I mean, obviously he came in halfway through the season last year. What were your thoughts on that?
I didn't really. I've seen him twice because I was injured, so with the club I was not really going in much. But I went once. I think his first training session I was there, and then I came back 3, 4 months out at the end of season dinner where I've seen him. So he was there. He's probably a good coach. I think it's just different from what you're used to with Premier League environment, training pitches, preparations, and stuff like that. And from the outside, maybe didn't expect it to be that way. So I can't really tell, really.
How difficult is it when they do? I mean, I've got another comment regarding John Sheridan here, basically saying what you said. Full respect for all the players that had to put up with it, giving 100% to the club. Cheers, Frenchie. That's from Tony Goff, who's an away and at home supporter, goes everywhere with the town. I mean, when a manager changes, I mean, let's leave to one side of characters that we've had recently, but when a manager changes and walks into the dressing room, what's the most important thing that they do? What's the first thing they speak, the first words they speak to you, or how they deal with you? What's the most important thing?
Yeah, I think that's just the way they are. I think in football you kind of like judge them quite very quick. The first few training sessions, how their training sessions are, then the interaction you've got. Like I said, I think for me it's important to always feel respected, feel like that manager had time for me. So I think for me, like some manager coming in is just maybe take the time to speak to the players individually, how you feel you can help. Like it helps if I think a manager's done his research probably and kind of like know the players and say, if you feel like I can help you that way, how do you want me to help you? And then just put a structure in place and be consistent. I think it's important. So that's what I'm looking from a manager when he comes in. I want to see that way.
I know you're looking forward now, and but how do you look back on your career? With satisfaction, with frustration? How do you look back on it? Because you've had some great moments, but of course, as we've explained, you've had the downsides too. How do you look back on that?
I had some frustration because I feel like I could have played higher. I feel like I probably should have played higher. But at the same time, I've got no regret because I've been injured a lot. But it's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of working. It's not a lack of focusing. I've given everything I had to give. So it's not a case where I'm looking back. You know, some people finish their career and say, "Oh, I wish I did that. I wish I give more." I feel like I give everything I had to do to give. Sometimes too much and cost me to be injured. But I prefer to be that way, and I'm not looking back and think, you know what, I should have done more. I didn't really push myself. I pushed myself the most I could. Didn't work out. I didn't achieve everything I wanted to achieve, but I felt like I did the right way. I didn't really try to step on other people's to be successful. I try to respect everyone I played with or work with in the stadium and everything. So I look back in pride. Obviously, I wish I would have done maybe a little bit better and things would have worked out differently at certain times, but I've got no regret.
Well, I think when you leave a club and everybody has good words to say about you, I think that's quite a nice thing in football. I think you should take that on board, because nobody's ever got a bad word about you. Whenever you talk about you, nobody's got a bad word about it, and that must mean a great deal to you.
Yeah, it does, probably more than anything I've done on the pitch. Really, I feel I always like to just treat everyone the way I wanted to be treated, and from players to owners to people working at the stadium and cleaning or doing the cooking and stuff. I try to treat, and I hope they felt that way. I hope they felt everyone that I came across felt I cared about them. That was the most important thing for me. So, yeah, no, I'm quite lucky. Like everywhere I've been, as there's not many people that I haven't really fall out with. About people like Sheridan, where I feel we're disrespectful people. So yeah, just look. I'm quite proud of it. Yeah.
I think many people have remember those images of you with your children on the pitch at the end of the season, and obviously your kids are very important to you. And as you said, you want to enjoy a full life with your kids now. I mean, how is life now? You're settling into this new role. As you said before, you've come out of the football bubble. You're now in this kind of wider bubble.
Yeah.
You've obviously found it easy to sort of interact with people, but it is a totally different thing, isn't it? You're outside of that football. But I've got a question here which says, did you ever think about going into management and coaching yourself? I mean, was that ever an option?
It's quite linked with what you're saying now. So my family is very, very important to me. So I could have gone into coaching, but then you become it's the same life as like you've got as a player. So you've got to be ready to move around the country and be away at weekends and stuff like that. And I wanted something different from my family. I wanted to be able to do more things with them. So yes, a totally different environment. So I'm come from being away from me too much. That now I'm working from home, and I'm maybe sometimes at home too much. But it is good, and for me, like it's the most important things is to be there for the family. So that's why management was not really an option. But,
and do you have a special place where you work, if you see what I mean? I know you're at home, but a lot of people found this during the pandemic, didn't they? They're suddenly working in their living room. Do you have to go somewhere separate?
Well, I work from here, so I've got a bedroom. It's quite a big bedroom, so I'm lucky I work here. My wife is self-employed as well. She does mortgages and she works from home in the office. So she didn't want to be in the same room as me all day. So I'm in the bedroom, she's downstairs. Sometimes I work in the living room, or I work at the gym or things like that, trying to not stay always here. But it's a lot different. But I wanted to do something, so I could have done coaching. I wanted to help people, but I want to be helping people a different way. I feel like in football, even though I know we say we help people when people come into games, it's a big thing for them. But I feel like it was always sent. I wanted to just be able to help people. So I'm hoping with this new career, I'll be able to help people with their goals and stuff like that.
So exactly what do you do? I know you're in finance management, but tell us what you do.
So you're helping people depending on what goals they want. If they want to achieve, if they want to retire at a certain age, or they want to build up for their retirement or investment, if they want to increase their capitals to maybe buy a house or things like that. Just like help people with their financial goals, really. So it started for me with footballers. So I've seen so many footballers working so hard in their career and then end up playing football and then just being in a tough financial situation and have to, because people got the idea of footballers, got privilege. But our level in League One, League Two, you work in, and then when you finish playing football, you haven't got that much. It's not like Premier League where you can just not work. So you've got to transition to a new life. And theoretically, you should be, from like your career, you should be able to have a certain financial security that helps you transition or support you in that transition. But it's not always the case. just because we don't know really. Well, a lot of people have got no idea how they can do that. So the idea at the start was to help footballers doing that. But now I'm trying to do with normal people as well, because normal people's got goals and objectives as well. They want to do. Some people want to, especially with retirement is a big thing. State pension going to 68 and things like that. So people don't want to work that long. So it's how you're planning for this. People earning money, you haven't got trying to help with tax planning. Make sure, because that's what I feel. Rich people usually know all the rules and laws and tax allowance, but normal people generally are maybe not aware, not using it as the best way. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to help as many people as possible.
And was this, you were doing this whilst you were playing football as well? Was this, I mean, night school? How did you do it? I mean, because you don't just ship up and say, I'm going to be a financial management person. I mean, you've got to be kind of trained in this.
So I was like, always to know like very tight. So teammates will say I'm very tight, but because from my career, I always was worried that we had a short career. And even if, say, you earn the same as a doctor, for example, but that doctor is going to earn that money for 40 years. We're going to earn it for 10 years. And then after, we've got another 40 years to live after. So I was always worried about it, and I was quite tight. And I felt like if I had the financial plans, I'd probably it take off some of that pressure. And even when you're injured, when I felt I was injured, there's that financial pressure where you've got your family to help and stuff like that. So always thinking, how can I do something like that? And I've seen so many teammates struggle. So it was, and one of my old teammates got into it, and he just helped me doing it. So when I was playing at Swindon, especially the last 4 years, where I was staying in Swindon 2-3 nights a week on my own. So I just took that time to just study and pass all my exams when I was playing.
Oh, that takes a lot of dedication, doesn't it? I mean, it's a lot of work as well, isn't it? A lot of different kind of work to the physical stuff you do as a footballer. It's the mental kind of work, isn't it? Do you enjoy that?
It is tough, and I found it at the start, especially the first few ones where I was coming back from training, sometimes double session, and then I was shattered. And then you go back to the big book and you have to read it in English, and it's just about regulations and things like that. It was not the most exotic subjects. So sometimes it was tough, but once I knew I wanted to do that, you just put the same commitment as you put in football. So that's it. That's what I wanted to do. So hopefully now I'll be able to do it and help people.
Because English isn't your first language, quite clearly. But, so when you're reading through that big book full of regulations, how difficult or easy was that? Because, those of us whose first language is English wouldn't understand much of it. So how about you?
Yeah, it was tough. It's just, it probably took me a little bit longer to just, especially the first few exams and books and stuff like that. But then you just get used to it. So, yeah, it's become natural now.
And it's going all right, is it?
Yeah, it's good. It's totally different. And I've got probably what Ali says. I always likes to joke around and things like that, and just give banter and say whatever I felt, and just and now I'm in totally different situations where you're working with clients. You've got to show some professionalism. You've got to talk properly. And you are their services. So if someone cancelled at the last minute, you just got to bite your tongue. When in football, usually I would have said whatever. I would have said something, and now I've just got to adapt to this. But it's very good. I think I'm at that stage at the start where I'm starting, and you got to convince people that it's the right thing for them to do, which is not my favorite part. But with time, I think I'll enjoy where I'm able to help people achieve their goals, and then say, oh, you know what, you helped me doing this, you helped me building for this, you helped me. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
And do they come to you, or do you literally cold call? How does that work?
Well, it's not cold call. Obviously, there's people that know what I'm doing, so they just say to me, ask me for advice and things like that. But then I have people that I know that could do with some help. So that's sometimes I don't really like it. I feel a bit like a salesman. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, obviously you're a bit like a salesman, but it's for their benefit. So even though if you don't feel great, but it's not like I'm selling them some boxy schemes. Like I'm just doing the best for them. And when I was trying to do it, it's because I've seen so many teammates that have been that have ended up in bad situations. And I feel if someone would have helped them there and just convinced them that they had things they could do, then they would be in a better situation. So sometimes I've got to be maybe a little bit pushy and say, you know what, like I know like it's not your priority right now, but trust me, from my experience, that you need to do something right now because your career is finishing quick, and you need to do something, or you're gonna be in difficulty when you stop playing.
Yeah, Paul has asked, how do you recover from such an injury? Well, you've already said that you're still going through rehab, aren't you? And
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, how long are we now? That's well over a year, I guess. Is it a year that you've had this?
I did in December.
Yeah.
I think it's 10 months, but I think I'm having some difficulties with it, so I need to get a second opinion. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I need a little cleanup or an injection, but it's not going the way I want to. But it'll be all right.
Well, we wish you all the very best, and thank you ever so much for joining us tonight.
Okay.
Tony says, hopefully, Frenchie, you can help all the young players reference to future planning, should help them in their future career, because I think we've all seen stories of footballers who, you know, the money is gone, they've got nothing left when they finish, they've packed up, and, you know, what do they do then? Steve says, great character, great effort, and a great blessing to Swindon that you played for us. Wish you all the best for the future. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier. People quite like you, you know, so you should be quite pleased about that. So we wish you all the very best, you and your family. It'd be delightful to see you at the county ground. When you are down there, please come and see us.
Yeah, I say I'll come back. I need to come back for a game, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much. It's been great talking to you. Thank you. Chris will be with us
Brilliant.
in a minute.
Thank you very much, Matthew. It's been fantastic. We wish you all the best for the future, and thank you very much for joining us. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Sorry, I'm a bit delayed again tonight. Trouble with my technology. Just to say, Malcolm Davis, one of our supporters of the OSC, got engaged. So congratulations to Malcolm and his fiancée. And don't forget, it's Falls Rush In at 9 o'clock tonight. So if you're around and can join them. Okay, we will see you next Monday. We have got a panel next Monday after the Newport game. So have a good week, everybody, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.